answer. Would some honourable member care to move that the House take note of miscellaneous business?
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Simon Bridges.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sure all of this House is united in offering our absolute solidarity to the people affected by these earthquakes from the early hours of Monday morning. Mr. Speaker, we just offer that solidarity to those who, fortunately in so few cases, have lost loved ones, those who have been isolated, those who are picking up the pieces of damage, those that are working there. We offer our thoughts and our feelings, I'm sure, united as a House in relation to that. All of us, in a sense, Mr. Speaker, have been affected by these earthquakes, and here indeed in this House we felt them, but of course not to the same extent as many of those there in the South Island, and also some of the effects here around Wellington. And as I say, once again, we're united in offering, I'm sure, our solidarity. Mr. Speaker, I was in Kaikoura this morning, and is there with the local Member of Parliament, Stuart Smith, who says he's doing a great job, who knows the people there, who is feeding back, that's right, feeding back to the ministers, like to myself, the issues that he's hearing about in isolated communities, that he's hearing about in Kaikoura, and I just thank him for what he's doing. And there also the Prime Minister, who was there that morning after those earthquakes, or that day after, and then today, and I know who this is very personal to, who is really taking the effort to understand exactly what's happening, make sure the government at every level is supporting the efforts. We, of course, met with the civic leadership. We met with Winston Gray, the Mayor, we met with his Chief Executive, we met with the many government agencies there, from the junior through to the most senior in police, in defence, in health, in a range of areas there, through to the workers, the business people who are very, I think it's fair to say, grateful for what they see happening from this Parliament and government, and we take that very seriously. Through to the tourists, Mr. Speaker, who also clearly would greatly prefer not to be caught up in these earthquakes, but were, I think, resolute. All of the people I've mentioned, resolute, determined, and without wanting to paint a rosy picture of it, Mr. Speaker, they had a solidarity and a strength to them and an upbeatness about what they're doing. So I just want to pay tribute to all those involved down there, particularly the workers, the people who are really making a difference. And we saw some fantastic examples of that this morning when we were down there, Mr. Speaker. We went to the marae, local marae there with Sir Mark Solomon, but many others as well. And they have literally every mealtime been feeding about 500 people. And it wasn't meagre rations, I have to say. When we were there, they were cooking up a fish. There were stews, and they're doing just, I think, a tremendous job for those who are looking for company, looking for food and sustenance, and indeed the tourists there. Although this won't be, I think, one of their positive experiences in life, they will go back to their home countries with memories of what they had there. The police going out to isolated areas, meeting some of those who come down from Auckland, and the work that they are doing, really pastoral work, Mr. Speaker. I just pay tribute to those people. As Transport Minister, can I say it's very clear that these issues of transportation and connection and getting access back, but also dealing with the freight issues of Canterbury up, are going to be some of the biggest issues that we face, Mr. Speaker. And of course, the immediate concern here is about providing the supplies and the services. But for me, and I know this is something the Prime Minister has a very strong sense of, the number one priority is getting access back to the communities in these areas. I think the news so far is good, Mr. Speaker. State Highway 70 and the work being done there to have that back up and running so that the people of Kaikoura are connected in days rather than months is important. No one, I think, having seen the pictures, and myself having seen today the damage from the air, could underestimate the slips, the several slips, the very serious Mother Nature made realignments there, underestimate the work that's ahead of us in terms of State Highway 1 and the rail line, Mr Speaker. But I want to say to this House and those people affected by this that we will rebuild. We will rebuild that state highway network, the rail line there, from the physical damage that has been done there. Mr Speaker, can I just once again give the solidarity of this House and pay tribute to all those who are working on the ground right now to make a difference.